Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Always a great opportunity to serve the people of our county and appear before the other committees of the commission. I'm proud to stand before you tonight and go to the Lord in prayer. I don't know about you all, but this is certainly a time in our nation's history that we need prayer more than ever. And I pray for this body every time I go to the Lord in prayer. And I pray for all of us. I know we don't always see eye to eye on issues, but I believe that if we can all come together and respect each other's opinions, we can do great things for our county. Heavenly Father, thank you, Lord, for all your many blessings. Thank you, Lord, for saving us. Thank you, Lord, for letting us come to you in prayer. Thank you, Father, for always being there whenever we seek your counsel. Please forgive us of our sins, times, Father, that we don't seek your counsel. Always remind us, Father, that no matter where we go, you're there. As we enter into this meeting tonight, we pray that you'd be with each member, be with their heart, be with their mind. Give them your wisdom, your discernment, Father, to do what's right for your people. This we ask in Jesus' holy name. Amen.
Amen. Attention, salute, and pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First order of business is election of chairman.
Thought we already did that. We did? Motion, my motion is for Chairman Isabel.
Thank you.
Second.
For motion second, any other nominations?
Move nominations to be closed and to be elected by acclamation.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
You don't know what a big honor it is to serve on this operations committee. It really is. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The next is the approval of agenda.
Mr. Chairman, if possible, could I move my item down? I think there's some people who got caught by the bridge construction out there, and it took me 20 minutes to get over it, and I'd just like to give an opportunity, if you could, maybe I can, if you wouldn't mind, to place it under the Law Director's report, item number 7, if that's okay.
Sure.
Thank you.
Any other changes? All in favor?
Aye.
As amended. Any opposed? Motion passes. First is the mayor's report. Oh, I'm sorry, we didn't do appearance of citizens. Is there any citizens here that would like to appear for anything that's not on the agenda tonight? Seeing none, we'll go forward with the mayor's report.
Is this? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and congratulations on your reelection. The only action item I have on my report tonight, although I would like to add something under new business later for Energy Communities Alliance, the only action I have is Resolution 2110-895. And while Anderson County has worked very diligently to mitigate the spread of COVID, we started back in April of 2020 with a COVID response plan. We continue to put forth efforts even today, whether it's encouraging and making available vaccines, emergency sick leave, all of those things. However, there have been a couple things that have taken place. One, the state of Tennessee passed Public Chapter 513. That public chapter prohibits state and local government from mandating vaccines in the state. However, there is some conflict there because we have OSHA and the president talking about promulgating an emergency rule that would require that. And it is creating some concern with some of our departments where there are federal guidelines. It might raise questions of, are we in compliance if we're not moving forward with a mandate? The Tennessee Attorney General has put together a really good letter on point, and I'm just bringing this resolution that is before you tonight. And if you haven't read it, I'm happy to read it. But basically, it just is really an encouragement to our state and local leaders that we do have concerns about a vaccine mandate. So I'm asking for approval.
Move to approve to pass to full commission for their approval.
Have a motion, do we have a
For
second?
Resolution 2110-895.
Have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second for discussion by Chairman Anderson. Discussion? Commissioner McCain?
If the state legislature has already approved this,
No. So what they did during the prior legislative session is, the Attorney General's letter doesn't mention that, but as a local government, and I'm sure Jay probably distributed all of the state laws and the things that went into place, they passed 513, and I can read you a little bit from that. What 513 did was enact new sections of Title 68, and then it also amended sections of Title 49 and Title 68. And the changes at the state level prohibit the state or any local government from requiring persons to receive a COVID-19 vaccination. But even so, what's going on is OSHA is a federal standard that comes down through the state. So for instance, with EMS, we're accepting Medicare, we're accepting Medicaid. If we are an employer, even though we've got the direction from the state, that are we going to be ineligible for billing, for instance? Are we going to be deemed non-compliant by the federal government? So we're just asking, the state, hey, we have concerns, please make sure, because even though the legislature passed a law, we need you to defend that and defend local government from that mandate.
okay, well, I've not seen the Tennessee Attorney General's opinion. Is he just,
It's, I put his letter in, I put his letter in.
Yeah, basically, I just finished reading through this another time. Basically, the Attorney General letter says a couple things. One, that it's not constitutional for the federal government to make mandates on health. And if they do it, it has to be something specifically passed by Congress, not something that is done by some organization that Congress has put in place like the FDA or the executive branch for that matter. It also points out that under current federal law, that mandate would be illegal because there's parts in federal law that specifically state that the federal government is not allowed to legislate or make laws in the area of health other than for federal organizations like the military and their own employees. You could read it that way. He also points out the fact that the courts in the past have ruled very strictly and mandate for medical mandates, if they're done even at a local level, has to be because of a really urgent, serious, immediate health problem that just can't be ignored. And they use different wording than the FDA uses. I can't remember the exact wording. I was going to have this in front of me, but I just loaned it out. But so there's some real problems. First of all, there's a question under the 10th Amendment, the Constitution, whether or not the federal government can even mandate stuff in the areas of medical stuff. The other is that there are already federal laws in place specifically talking about the FDA and its authority and the authority to regulate even during emergencies The federal courts limited these mandates to only emergencies, as it was. And it's hard to say that something that's been going on for over a year and is going to continue forever. Because basically, when is a pandemic really over? When everyone has had it. Okay, that's when it's really over. You understand that the current vaccine for COVID-19 does not keep you from getting COVID-19. It is not designed to prevent you from getting it. It's only designed to reduce the symptoms in the seriousness for when you do get it. And so I think that right now we need to encourage. Our legislature already passed legislation that prohibited county and local governments from taking action with mandates that are beyond the scope of the authority of the federal government. But the federal government doesn't seem to care. They think they can do whatever they want, whenever they want, if they have absolutely no limits on their action. And I think it's time, and I see some heads in the audience that are agreeing with me, it's time to make sure that we know, and I want to put in writing that this county, in its residents as a whole, or in a majority, do not want the federal government dictating exactly what happens to our health. It is illegal under current federal law for you to ask another person what their health status is. If someone asked me if I have a vaccine, my answer would be, depending on how well I know them, either it's illegal for you to ask me that question, or I'd say, yeah, I got one right away. That was my decision. But it was my decision, it wasn't the state's decision. So anyhow, I highly recommend we go ahead with this as written, and if there's some little minor changes that people want, we can certainly take care of that before the full commission meeting.
And just for clarification, Tennessee County Services Association did draft that so that it's, it has the proper format. This wasn't something that I didn't draft that resolution. It was drafted with Tennessee County Services Association.
Commissioner Scott.
You know, you guys have heard me say it before, I'm not a doctor, nor do I play one on TV. I appreciate that everyone has their own opinions and interpretations as to what they believe or what they've heard or how they take it, etc. I'm voting no on this. It's none of our business to be dabbling into the federal guidelines, and it's none of our business. Simply put, it's not for us to decide what they do in Washington. Yeah, we are speaker of other people, but from the response that I've gotten, they don't want it. So I'm voting no. Simply put, no lengthy discussion. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Commissioner McCain?
If there's no other, I just got a real quick thing I'd like to add.
Mayor, this is for businesses that have
No.
over 100
Yes.
employees.
But the resolution, let me see here. So the resolution says, whereas the federal government has announced a plan under which the Occupational Safety and Health Administration would mandate all private employers with at least 100 employees to require employees to either be vaccinated for COVID-19 or produce weekly negative tests. And whereas Tennessee Attorney General Herbert Slattery has expressed grave concerns about the legality of this nationwide vaccination and testing requirement for COVID-19, and whereas the federal proposal is overly broad and likely violates federal law, including both OSHA and the Constitution, whereas the proposal fails to take into account the numerous steps already taken in Tennessee by Tennessee employers to reduce the risk of COVID-19 exposure and the impact additional burdens will place on the workplace and workforce. Now be it resolved by the Anderson County Board of Commissioners meeting in regular session that Tennessee's elected leaders are urged to oppose the federally proposed vaccine mandate. So, I guess there's just clarification needed whether, which I do not believe personally that local government would be considered under this, but that may have to be litigated. It may be part of litigation by the Tennessee Attorney General. I mean, I have an opinion. I'm just one person. I'm sure Jay has an opinion. You all have an opinion. But this is in response to employees here inside Anderson County government, and that's why I'm bringing it. Even though I've been contacted by people from the business community, I don't know what we could do as government in helping them, but I know that we can address here inside Anderson County government and speak to our employees.
Okay, but this would not prohibit an employer from mandating it for his employees
We have
if
no
they choose to do that, right?
we have no authority over that.
Right.
You know, so there's a couple of different things going on. You have an executive order from the president, and you have some of the federal workforce that are instituting mandates based on that executive order. This is the president, which we have yet to see this rule in writing yet, where he is saying any employer over 100 would be required to mandate the vaccine. And so if you look back, for instance, I think it was back in June, the Department of Labor for the state of Tennessee issued a memo based on an ETS, or the emergency rule, that if you are a health facility, then if you have a break room, they used as an example in that particular rule the example of a break room. And they were saying, and this is the first time that we have called a virus we have ruled it the same kind of risk under a OSHA standard, where normally that is a risk would be something like a chemical or other hazard, not necessarily a virus. But under this memo that was issued by the state of Tennessee, it says if you're a health facility and you have unvaccinated, if you're gathering in a break room and all of the employees aren't vaccinated, then it's, you know, then you have a risk under OSHA. And so what the state attorney general is saying, even with this, is, first of all, it's a new definition to call a disease a grave danger when we've been taking steps to mitigate since the beginning, and to rule it in that same way. And secondly, I don't know how to explain this. It's like, for instance, if we have OSHA or TOSHA come in here into the county and we are not properly storing gasoline, then we have to correct that. And then we also could be liable for not having a safe workplace. So we're looking at a whole big host of issues by ruling a disease a grave danger in the workplace. Have I confused you even more?
No, my next question is that our school department has over 100 employees, and our local government has over 100.
Yes, sir.
So is it your understanding that we would be required, under the executive order of the president, to have all county employees and all school department employees vaccinated, or take the risk of losing their job?
Well, I personally don't think so. When I look at all of this, I don't believe it applies. But that doesn't mean, as we can see, you know, it's who's going to prevail. It may take litigation. I think that the state legislature spoke plainly and said it doesn't apply. But again, if we have, say we have EMS and we bill for a transport, and we say to Medicare, well, our legislature and our governor said, you know, we can't institute a mandate. And then the federal government says, yes, but to be in compliance and to get reimbursed, you need to follow, you're out of compliance with OSHA. I don't think it applies. I don't think that applies to local government. I don't think that OSHA, particular OSHA standard does. But I'm not a lawyer, and it's who's going to win the day. So I do feel like we owe it to say something that it is a concern, and to get some clarity. I've talked with a lot of mayors. We've had a call with mayors in all of East Tennessee, and they share the same concern. So in all of East Tennessee, we've signed a letter that we're sending to the governor and to the Tennessee Attorney General. And if you look, it's a solid, I think there's only one county that did not sign on to this letter, and it's not a combative letter. It just says, we understand Chapter 513, but even so, we all have these concerns. Is it going to apply? And if they send you a letter in the mail that says you're out of compliance, and we point to, I would prefer someone else be in the litigation seat than Anderson County. I would prefer the state, with their resources, help us with that effort.
Okay, you admitted you were not an attorney, but our law director is. Does he have an opinion?
There's a lot of issues there. I don't think the federal government's gonna come in here and fire our employees. That's what you refer to. That's not the way they're gonna leverage us. They're gonna leverage us in federal funds, is how it's gonna happen. Do you have a specific question on which part?
Just if we would be required for all of our employees to be
I don't think so.
vaccinated, or our school department employees.
I don't think that's gonna happen.
I mean, both of them have over 100,
Yes, sir, I understand.
but you don't think
No, I
law
don't think
applies
that's
to
ever gonna come to fruition.
county
They
government?
might pass the law, but as far as enforceability, I don't see it.
Okay.
We
Thank you.
can't stop them from passing an executive order or even debating this in Congress and passing it, but I just don't see the enforceability component of it,
Okay, thank you.
I'd like to
other
ask
than the
Jay-
leveraging of funds from the federal government.
Hey, Jay, I have a question for you. The first whereas uses the term private employers. Is it Anderson County a private employer? I didn't think so. Okay.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
I was just looking up something, just a sec, Mr. Keller. And I'd asked Chairman about it. The USPS workers be mandated to get the COVID-19 vaccine under President Joe Biden's new mandates. Although it's not a federal mandate that the postal workers get it, but it says USPS workers will be required to get vaccinated for COVID-19 or take a weekly COVID-19 test. They do not fall under the federal employee mandate, but they do fall under the mandate for large companies. And I think that's what, kind of the discussion we're having now.
I have, well, in my opinion, 700,000 dead people is a crisis, personally. I believe that I have lots of friends who are tired of their loved ones dying of COVID, of their husbands and wives and mothers and fathers being in facilities where an employee comes in, brings COVID, and they get shut down, put on isolation for two weeks. I can't support this either, because I believe this crisis is as serious as Commissioner Scott does, and that's all I'm going to have to say on this. Thank you.
Commissioner Wandell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Looking through some of this, it seems as if the government can't force anyone to take the shot, and it reads to me that if someone elects not to take the shot, that it's up to the employer to make the decision whether they can come to work or not. So, there's really, I'm not reading, it's a requirement. I wonder if it's, we can wonder all day, I guess, but I agree with a couple of my fellow commissioners here. I feel like for us as a local legislative body to take up federal business is beyond our scope of work here as elected commissioners. I understand the need to send something to Nashville, to our legislators in favor or not in favor, but it doesn't sound like there's, and maybe there is, I just haven't really paid attention. I'm not sure there's a mandate in place as we speak today, and I don't know what that mandate says. I hear a lot of different things, but there's been no direction from what I can tell, Mr. Chairman, from the state to us or from the federal government to us as local elected officials to tell us this is how we should act. So, I've actually sat here and tried to tell myself, how can I support this resolution? And I'm just not at a point where I could, because I do not feel as if it's an item that it needs addressing at this time. I mean, what's the difference between today and a year ago? Now someone says there could be a mandate. A year ago, there was no mandate. Forget political parties, presidents, whatever you want to say. It's about people dying from a disease that people are dying from. Fortunately, it looks like the numbers are going down, and I pray to God they continue to go down. So I have trouble getting into the federal government jobs and telling them what they can and cannot do. I mean, it's hard enough when I ask for an increased payment in lieu of tax. You think I stole somebody's checkbook. So I'm certainly not going to wade into telling them how they should or should not vaccine their people. I, for one, hope that all Anderson Countyans take this very seriously. I, too, have lost loved ones. And there's many of us around this table that's lost loved ones because of COVID. It's not a political or party line issue. It's a real issue that it's up to those family members. And I respect those that do not want to get a shot and, have their thoughts. I respect that. Unfortunately, I've seen many of them die. And, I hate to see that. So I think at this time, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to vote no on it. I just do not feel like we have the information, and I don't want to send a message to my state legislator saying, go against what the federal mandate is to protect our people. I just can't do that in good conscience. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman. I'd like to amend the motion to forward this to the county commission. We've got 9 commissioners that are not here discussing this, and I'd like to forward it to the county commission without a recommendation and give all 16 county commissioners the opportunity to vote their feelings on it.
I second the motion.
Yeah. Okay. All right, does everybody understand the amendment?
May I add
Yes.
one last thing, just because a comment was made? I do take COVID very seriously, and I do recognize it's a crisis. It has been the predominant issue since 2020. And so I don't want there to be any confusion over why I bring this. But there are people that are being mandated in workforces, and those people are concerned. They are concerned about their livelihood. They are reaching out. And I'm telling you that it is also people inside Anderson County government. Oak Ridge National Lab was one of the first to mandate. Their campus was almost 90% vaccinated, yet they were having an outbreak. And there are measures in place for religious and medical exemptions, but not everyone may be able to obtain a religious exemption or medical exemption. And I still believe that we need to stand for people and their right to make their own personal health decision. So I just say that only because I don't want there to be confusion that it isn't that I don't care. I do care, and I think there's a wide cross-section of people who do. I don't believe it's a partisan issue. I really don't. And I think you're seeing some of that in New York. There's a different, there's teachers' unions, and there's some minority communities that actually rank highest in unvaccinated. And that's what this is about. It's just, it's not a partisan issue by any stretch of the imagination, in my opinion. So,
Let's go to Commissioner Scott first.
Thank you. Folks have been saying that the numbers are going down, and they're going down quickly. On the 8th of September, there were 805 positive cases in Anderson County, 185 deaths. Last Wednesday, there were 394 positive cases. Keep in mind, the numbers are coming down. Friday, our active cases were at 410. I lost another friend, and we're up to 208 deaths. Until people take it seriously, it's not going to stop. It doesn't care who you are. It doesn't care what your race is. It doesn't care what your religion is or what your political stance is. I honestly do not believe that this is something for us to tackle. Leave OSHA to do OSHA's job. Thank you.
Commissioner Meade.
Okay, just got one quick thing. There was a comment made about why are we bothering to tell the state or federal government what they should do? Okay, and I want to point out something that should be obvious. We all, everyone on this commission, every public office, every policeman, everybody in this country has taken an oath for their office. And that oath says we will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of Tennessee against all, everyone foreign and domestic. Okay, and that means we have a duty under our oath of office, if we see something that's wrong, to give direction to the state and federal government, and we need to do that. And what we're talking about here is not really taking charge. We're just saying that, hey, look, first of all, our Attorney General says it is unconstitutional for this mandate to be made to begin with. It violates current federal law to begin with. Okay, so us asking them to just stay with the Constitution and stay with existing federal law is not a really big stretch. And so this going on to full commission, because in here, clearly these people have decided they don't have a duty to support and defend the Constitution. That they just discount that as being something they don't need to do. And, well, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. That's working on an opinion. But in any case, we have a choice. We can be ready for this mandate to come out, which we've been promised will happen, or we can wait until it's too late and it becomes a real disaster, and we can do it on our own instead of it being done by the state. Thank you.
Commissioner Fritz. I'll get all the commissioners and I'll get Mr. Keller.
One thing you need to look at, if it goes to full commission, if it passes full commission, it might pass 9-7 or something like that. A vote like that is not going to send a clear message to the legislature. So you, a 15-1 vote or a 16-0 vote will send the messages to the legislature to know the commission is fully behind something. I see a vote like this being either failing or being a 9-7 vote, and that's not going to send a message to our legislatures.
Mr. Keller.
Thank you, sir. First, my apologies to Mr. Meade. I didn't mean to shout out like that. That was very rude of me, and I apologize for that. I teach U.S. government for King University. I have a doctorate.
Mr. Keller, just announce who you are and your address.
My name is Eric Keller, 167 Liberty Court. I have a doctorate in political science from the University of Tennessee, 2015, with a focus on American politics. I teach U.S. government at King University. And rather than get into a constitutional argument with Mr. Meade, which could go on for hours, I'll just say that there are many who would disagree with his interpretation of that. Those who would look at the Supremacy Clause, Article 6, Paragraph 2 in the U.S. Constitution, as opposed to Chapter 10, and say that vaccines are covered. But again, rather than get into a debate, I'll defer on that. The the concept that correlation is causation is a very dangerous thing. I heard earlier from Mayor Frank that she thought that what happened at ONL showed that, well, they had a big outbreak even though it was mandatory, so it may not work. Well, we don't know if those people who are sick were the unvaccinated or the vaccinated at breakthroughs. We do know with vaccinated breakthroughs, they normally don't go to the hospital or normally die. But we do know with the unvaccinated, 95% of those of deaths, et cetera, have been unvaccinated folks in the United States. The other thing I would say is that 208 dead, I would consider a pretty grave danger to the workplace. And obviously I am in support of the federal mandate. I do agree with Mr. Mondale that there's some confusion as to exactly what its status is now. But I will say that if it becomes federal law or an executive order, that you would be hard pressed under that same article in the United States Constitution to deny its validity and to say you would disobey it. Thank you, sir.
Anyone else? And I understand as of Saturday, there was only 2 more signatures that need to be, I think, from 2 state senators, and they're going to take this up at the state level. So we'll know something on that pretty quick. And the vote, Commissioner Creasy.
And I apologize for not wearing my hearing aid, but with a mask, it's difficult to wear a hearing aid and a mask at the same time. But I think I did hear you say what I thought was in the executive order to OSHA from the president, that he was requiring OSHA to require that either a person take a shot or to be tested. Is that the way you understood it also? To have a weekly test if you don't want to take the shot, that the shot is not really mandated, but to be tested or take the shot. That's the way I understood it.
Mm-hmm.
Right, okay. And with that, I couldn't vote for this resolution myself. To answer Robert's question, I think there's you, and then there's 3 others of us here that are present. So that's kind of a majority of the commission is here already. I wouldn't vote to pass it on. I wouldn't support your motion. Thank you.
Any other discussion? And the motion is to pass this on forward to full commission without a recommendation, so each and every commissioner will have the opportunity to discuss.
Request a recorded vote, please.
Okay. All right. Commissioner Scott.
No.
Commissioner Wandale.
Can I make a statement?
Sure. You know, in these committees, you can talk about anything you want to.
Well, I just want to point out that a lot of our committees take action, and there's usually 9 other commissioners that don't have any say-so in those decisions. In fact, it'll come to the full commission, and yes, we get to vote on it, but we don't always have say-so, specifically Budget Committee. So with that said, I'll vote yes to send it forward, only so that my fellow colleagues will have an opportunity to give their opinion, and it would be fair to hear what they have to say. I'm going to vote yes to send it on, but the day of the meeting, I'll vote no against it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Phil Yeager. Commissioner Yeager, I'm
I'll
sorry.
vote no.
Chairman Anderson.
Yes.
Commissioner McCamey.
Yes.
Commissioner Meade.
Yes.
Commissioner Isbell votes yes. Motion passes. Okay. Let's see. Mayor, Tennessee AG opinion number 21-15.
That was just information only.
Okay. All right. The next would be the law director's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll be quick. as I've told you before, there's a tentative settlement on the global opioid litigation cases. We've got two distributors that are under this one, McKesson, Cardinal Health, and Amerisource Bergen. One manufacturer, that's Janssen Pharmaceuticals. Their parent company is Johnson & Johnson. There's $21 billion over 18 years, and Janssen will pay $5 billion over no more than 9 years for a total of $26 billion to be split between all participating states and political subdivisions. This opioid litigation will require not only the passage by this body to approve the litigation, but also several administrative documents that will be before you also, but they're going to be time sensitive, as we've seen here in the past two bankruptcy settlements. And I don't think we're going to have an opportunity, or we may not have an opportunity, to get them publicly noticed and on the agenda of the county commission meeting as quickly as we possibly can. And we'll try that, hopefully, to get them on there. But if this situation does arise, this resolution will allow the county mayor to execute those settlement documents and then bring them back like we've done in the past and have the vote ratified by county commission. And she'll have the opportunity to either by email, telephone, or direct communication to determine the position of each county commissioner through a poll. And then whatever the case may be, county commission will also get a ratification vote. So the way the process will go is county commission will approve or disapprove the settlement for the global opioid litigation. If you do so approve, then there will be some administrative documents that will follow. And if we cannot get those on the agenda to satisfy the open meetings law, then the mayor will execute those documents if they are time sensitive, and county commission will have a ratification vote at the next regularly scheduled county commission meeting. Any question about this resolution?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to pass resolution number 21-10-896, resolution authorizing the county mayor to execute settlement documents for the global opioid litigation.
Second.
I so move to move it from this body to full commission.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Wandell, seconded by Commissioner Scott, and please remind me to speak up because Annette's she's under the weather, so she's taking the minutes at home.
Okay.
So,
Those are hard.
yeah. Okay, discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimous.
Thank you, sir. That's all I have for you.
Yep. Mr. Chairman, just to follow up on that motion, will we forward it to the federal proposed vaccine mandate?
Yes.
The motion was forwarded without a recommendation, correct? I
That
just
is
want to make sure
correct.
it
That is correct.
was not, okay. Yes, Mr. Chairman, appreciate you allowing me to put this on the agenda. We apparently have a situation before us for the county elections coming up. There's been some proposed changes by both parties, the Republican Party of Anderson County and the Democratic Party. I'm not here to throw stones at either party or say one's better than the other, but I feel as if, Mr. Chairman, this is an issue that our county residents have not been made aware of. I had a discussion this morning with Secretary Trey Hargett about this, and it really bothers me that political local parties can make decisions on behalf of the people of our county without the people having any say-so. And I looked that up. I used to hear the word a lot, disenfranchise. And what does that mean? And what I learned is it takes away one's right to have an opinion or a vote on a situation. So to try to summarize, and I'm sure others can give their opinions, but it seems as if that the Republican executive Anderson County local party and then the Democratic Party, Anderson County, followed suit, I believe. And I'm not here to argue who went first or what day this one was stamped and what day that one was stamped. To me, it doesn't matter. So the issue on the table is we're asking for Anderson County commissioners to now be voted on in primaries. And what that does in that effort, it takes away folks that work for the federal government. As we found out, our chairman would be affected. We have several on commission that would be affected because of the Hatch Act. They would not even be allowed to run again if we go to a partisan election for county commissioners. I just do not feel that having a partisan election for county commissioners is healthy for this body or our county. I've been on commission since 2006. Some would probably say that's too long, and that's fine. But what I've noticed is we get along pretty well. We can disagree, and we don't sit around and make decisions based on what party affiliation are you with or what's your tendency. We make decisions for the betterment of the county. So I have a resolution in front of me that I'd like to share where we are opposing this action and respectfully requesting of the Anderson County election, Anderson County Republican Party and the Anderson County Democratic Party to please rescind those letters and take another look at it. I'm under the understanding that the Democratic Party is willing to do so, and I think we have the chairman here, and he can certainly speak to the issue. I will not speak for him, but so that's what's before us, and I'll be quiet and hear discussion. I'll go ahead and pass out some of these resolutions so everybody can have a look at them. And again, it's just a resolution asking those two entities to please do not include county commission in partisan sense. I'd like to see it stay nonpartisan, and that goes for the school board as well. I think there's an actual law on that issue. So I tell you what, if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman, I'll just read this real quick. I'll make it quick as I can. Resolution 21-10897, resolution respectfully requesting the local Democratic and Republican executive committees to rescind their request to the Anderson County Election Commission to hold primaries for the county commission and school board elections. Whereas the executive committee of the Democratic and Republican parties have parted the long-standing tradition of eliminating party politic from the election of county commission members by requesting local election commission to hold primary elections for county commission and school board members, thereby interjecting a layer of partisan politics into local community issues never witnessed before in the history of Anderson County. And whereas, since the birth of Anderson County in 1801, the local board of commissioners has been immune from partisan politics, and many long-serving commissioners and local historians cannot recall a local community issue facing a board of commissioners that was decided on party lines. In fact, many incumbent commissioners cannot tell you the political affiliation, if any, of the other commission members. And whereas it is illegal under Tennessee law to call for partisan school board elections, Tennessee Code annotated 49-2-201 specifically states, all elections for school board members shall be conducted on a nonpartisan basis, and no person seeking position on a board shall campaign as the nominee or representative of any political party. Whereas, furthermore, the Hatch Act codified 5 U.S.C.S. 1501 may disqualify federal workers from serving as county commissioners. For many years, federal employees working for TVA, DOE, and federal agencies have been free to serve on county commission, but now they may be ruled ineligible due to the introduction of partisan primaries. And whereas the divisiveness of the partisan politics associated with the national political climate have no place on the floor of Anderson County Commission meeting room and will potentially chill the open political free debates and have proven to be highly successful and efficient in resolving local community issues. Now therefore be it resolved by the Anderson County Board of Commissioners meeting this 18th day of October 2021, we respectfully request the executive committees of both Democratic and Republican parties to rescind their request to the local election commission to place county commission and school board elections on the primary ballot and effectively remove the controversial partisan politics from this non-political body where community and issues are resolved freely and independently without the political party affiliation or interference. That is it. Look, I realize we just got this, and most of the commissioners know I'm not a big fan of voting on things when it's just put in front of you, but I'm hopeful that we're all on the same page, and, you know, we can't make any party do anything, but we can certainly send a message as a body that we do not support county commissioners or the school board members becoming partisan races when there's just no merit for it. And, you know, I've heard arguments, Mr. Chairman, about, well, we get asked questions a lot about what party affiliation are you? I don't know about the rest of the commissioners, but every time I run, I answer.
Nonpartisan.
I tell them what I am. Sometimes I add a little more to it. And I like that because people ask questions. And I'll say this, if this motion fails and either party decides, you know what, we're still going to make you guys and gals be partisan elected, I'm prepared to make my next motion, which is to make all of Anderson County nonpartisan and pass a private act that supports that. I'd say most wouldn't want that, but from the mayor down, sheriff, clerk, register of deeds, circuit court clerk, all of them, we'll just make them all nonpartisan. That way we can eliminate the divisiveness on races, because what do we see at election time? We see hateful flyers, media, attack. Let people run for who they are and what they're going to bring to the table for the people they represent. That's the way I see it. So, yes, I'll make this a motion to pass and forward to full commission.
Second.
Have a motion by Commissioner Wandale, seconded by Commissioner Scott,
Yep.
to send to full commission resolution number 21-10-897. Any discussion? I'm going to start to the right. Commissioner Yeager.
As a failed parliamentarian, I'm going to ask Jay, should this officially be voted to be put on the agenda to make it an official, should we vote to put this on the agenda
That's effectively what you're doing.
if we vote to do it? If we vote,
This is a referral committee to county commission. If you vote positive on any matter here, it goes to county commission.
okay, so we don't need to add it to the agenda. Okay,
It's on there.
that's why I'm a failed parliamentarian.
No, sir, I would disagree with the failed parliamentarian. You
I
served
was
me
under the
well.
impression that Commissioner Wandale added this to the agenda. I thought I saw his email. But it's on the
It's for
agenda
discussion.
of
Yeah,
operations, sir.
Discussion.
Number
I
5.
see Commissioner Yeager's point. He's just wanting to make sure that it does go to full commission for a vote. Yes. Thank you.
Commissioner McCamey.
I was just going to say it's number 5. It's on the agenda. County election proposed changes, so that would cover any discussion.
Yeah, this is the place to do it.
motion.
Yeah, in committee meetings.
But there's one other thing. Our constables, which we have 4 of them, or 5, usually run nonpartisan. So would you want to add those?
I'd be happy to amend to add those and, you know, get this updated to include the constables.
Include constables? I would think so. I mean, they always have been, so.
Yeah, they have been.
The
Thank you for pointing
Republican
that.
letter didn't include constables. But yeah, we'll do that. And then the charter, and the charter commission, or what we have, are putting forth in the charter, it calls for nonpartisan for county commission and school board, stay the same. We never have, yeah, we did, we mentioned constables too, to be nonpartisan. So under the charter, that's what it would be under the charter. If it's, should be ready for this, to send to the public, this election, is that not correct, Jay?
Yes, sir.
So that'd be another issue that I'm sure will be a topic for consideration. Commissioner Meade.
Yeah, I don't have a copy in front of me right now, but as I recall, the letter from the Democratic Party to the Election Commission never mentioned commission. It just said all elected office. Okay, and I don't think that was their intention, really, okay? The Republican Party was more forward about it, actually mentioning it. But my recollection is that the Democratic Party put theirs in good faith, and there was a deadline that had to be submitted. And the deadlines were met by BOSO. So I think we may have an issue with whether or not something can be changed that was forwarded and accepted at a state law specified deadline. But I'm also very much in favor of nonpartisan races. If somebody asks me what political train I am, I'm really kind of a libertarian, so I'm kind of, there's different areas where I don't agree with either part of the major parties. But and again, people ask questions about that, and I answer the questions. And so I'm all in favor of this going ahead to full commission. But I do want to just voice the fact that I looked into this. I was concerned as soon as I heard about it. I talked to a bunch of people. Commissioner Isbell and I had long discussions about it, and my wife and I had a long discussion about it. I would like to see all those races stay like they are, but I'm not sure that legally we can change the course right now. The Election Commission, I think, may or may not even have the authority to accept a change at this point. If either party gets withdrawn, that ends it. Both parties have to agree before it can move ahead. And right now, both parties have officially agreed in writing, and so I was kind of surprised that happened. But yes, I'm in favor of going ahead and forwarding this to full commission for approval.
Mr. Chair.
Let me get all the commissioners first. Commissioner Anderson.
I think there was a letter that I forwarded to Annette. I didn't realize she was sick today to include in the minutes, but from the Administrator of Elections, Mark Stevens, that had been sent to, I guess, the Democratic Party chair, kind of outlining the list of partisan races, and in the instructions given to that party that he didn't include commission. So I think when they, and I'm not trying to take sides with anybody, but I do think they honestly did not think commission was part of the all when they said all races. But I think Mr. Keller wants to speak. So.
And then, just so everybody knows, this is something that has to be done every election. So it's not anything out of the ordinary. It's just what was mentioned.
Just to follow up on Commissioner Mead's point, I think the deadline to rescind the letter is November 19th. I may be wrong. In talking to Secretary Trey Hargett this morning, if one of the parties, say the Democratic Party, decides to rescind, the Republican Party can still move forward. But then the question comes into play: is it a partisan race if the Democrats aren't involved? Then I think it opens up a legal question because, for instance, Chairman Anderson, if the Republicans keep it and do not do a rescission letter, then is it a partisan race if they're just doing it and the Democrats aren't? So that's another legal question. So I'm hopeful, and I'd love to hear from Mr. Keller, and my hope is that the Democratic Party will, and I agree with what Commissioner Mee said. I believe that the Democratic Party was just going through the normal process and, doing what they had to do by state law, state statute, and they did it, and not knowing that it was going to be interpreted as adding the county commissions to that in the school board. Yes, Republican Party.
Any other commissioner? Mr. Keller.
Thank you very much. Just to be clear, I was the Anderson County Chair from 2017, March to mid-August of this year. After then, I rotated out, and Liz Iverston is the current chair. We do have the vice here. She's out of town. We have the vice, Kevin Jennings, who will speak after I will. But I will speak to the time I was chair before Catherine Dinnenberg. I can give you the begats of the Democratic Party all the way back if you wish, but I don't think you want it. In 2017, I sent this letter, the very same concept, and all I said is this letter is to inform you the Executive Committee of the Anderson County hereby directs the Democratic County primary to be held on such and such a date. That's it. And when I received the letter from the Election Commission, from the Election Commissioner, one of the things I received from him later was a list. And on that list, there is sort of on the very bottom of it, sort of any other offices anybody may think of, but county commissioners were not on that list. So I started this action, and then Liz finished the action. When I started it, there was I was shocked that it was even thought to be partisan. There was no concept whatsoever that this would be a partisan race. None. There wasn't in 17 when I sent this very general letter, and could have been used in the same way to say that they should have been partisan back in 17, and there is not in 2021. I know I speak for Liz, but I would like Kevin Jennings to come up as the vice for the current Anderson County Democratic Party to speak on what he thinks.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Kevin Jennings. I'm the Vice Chair of the Anderson County Democratic Party, and I'm in full agreement with Mr. Keller there and Commissioner Wandel. We, as a committee, as a county party, are very vehemently in support of keeping these races nonpartisan for exactly the reasons Commissioner Wandel outlined. Thank you.
Thank you. Chairman Anderson.
Just for fairness, I didn't know if there was anybody from the Republican Party that wanted to speak to, since we had the Democrats. I don't know if that's appropriate or not, but just to offer that. Okay.
Full commission.
Okay. That's fine.
Has a letter been sent to the Election Commission rescinding the county commission aspect of the primary request?
Liz is out of town. She comes back
Come on
Wednesday.
forward, so,
Oh, I'm so sorry.
yeah, because our secretary's at home taking notes.
I took a header while hiking on Fiery Gizzard last weekend, so getting up and down is. Liz is out of town. She won't be back until Wednesday night, I believe. I know that the executive committee have talked about it. I think the letter's drafted. I cannot speak beyond that until she returns.
Okay.
But it will be before the deadline.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Keller.
Commissioner Denenberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As was commented on by Eric Keller, I, for several terms, was the chair of the Anderson County Democratic Party. I was, of course, tasked with the issuing of the letter that everyone is referring to. Basically, I got a notification from the election administrator asking for a letter stating what the intent of the Democratic Party was as far as the elections were concerned. It's my understanding that this time there was a template stated in so many words that came from the state to each of the county parties' chair for them to use. While I was chair, it was simply me writing a letter, getting the executive committee to vote on how we were going to proceed. Were we going to proceed with a primary, caucus, or what we were going to do? Everyone voted for a primary. I simply penned a letter that just stated that the Anderson County Democratic Party would be calling for a primary. End of story. There was never any conversation by anyone that I know of that ever included county commission in that primary. There was never any conversation, period. When I was asked to take the seat of Dr. Hitchcock when he became ill, at that time, I was not only the chair of the Democratic Party of Anderson County, I was also on the state executive committee for the Democratic Party. My initial reaction to Dr. Hitchcock was no. I had never had any intent or interest in running for political office. But I got a lot of calls, conversation with a lot of people. And I told everybody that I spoke with that if indeed I did accept that at that point I would be resigning State Executive Committee and anything else, because in my mind, I would not be taking that seat as a Democrat. I would be taking that seat as an independent person representing my district along with my fellow Commissioner Steve Mead. And that's the way I have approached each and every meeting that I have attended. Every committee that I'm a part of, budget, intergovernmental, purchasing, whatever. And I try to do that as I think all the rest of the county commissioners that I serve with take their responsibility to be. To be open-minded, listen to your constituents, and do what you think is right for the county, regardless of what your political leanings are. I thank you, Mr. Chairman, and have a good afternoon.
Commissioner McCamey.
Question, I guess, for the law director. The statement was made that both parties have to agree. So if the Democratic Party says they want it to be nonpartisan, and the Republican Party says they want it to be partisan, how does it affect the election commission?
I'm not quite sure where that both parties have to agree comes from. I know I've heard that there was a long-standing agreement to keep county commission nonpartisan. One of the things is in order for us to continue to have members from the DOE, members from TVA, and other federal entities on county commission. There's a long history of these individuals sitting in county commission seats. But I don't know that for a fact. But I don't know where that language that both parties have to agree is found in the statutes. I could be wrong. This is not something I've looked into in detail, but I will. I'll talk to you next Monday night about it, let you know what I find out. But I'm not sure where that language comes from other than the long-standing agreement to keep politics out of county commission.
Okay, the election commissioner, I think, is out in the hall. Mark Stevens. Could somebody see if he's out there? He was out there earlier. Maybe he can answer that.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Is there a question?
Commissioner McCamey has a request for you.
There was a statement made that both parties have to agree.
Not true.
That's not true.
Only one party, if that one party wants to have a partisan, or wants to have a partisan race, it is a partisan race. And all the deadlines are the same. You want to operate on the same playing field, so all the qualifying deadlines would be the same.
Okay, somebody also mentioned that they have until November the 19th
That is
to make
correct.
the decision.
November 19th would be the time that if they want to make an amendment to their petition letter, that they would do that.
Okay, that's what I need to know. Thank you, sir.
Any questions of our election? Commissioner. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate you. Oh, one question.
Yes, sir.
Now, if the Republican Party or the Democratic Party decided to caucus instead of having a primary,
That would be something, again, that they would be able to do that on the 19th. They would make that in letter and writing. They can also, like I said, they can cherry pick if they want to say, I don't want a county commission. They would just write a letter saying, we don't want that particular office on a primary election.
okay,
Okay?
all right. Commissioner Wandale.
Just a couple other things I forgot to mention. The way I interpreted it, maybe Mark can speak to this, the way it's set up currently for the Republican Party, if somebody wants to run for county commission, they have to pay a fee.
That's actually something that would be collected, I think, at the local level, yes. If they want to be on the ballot as run as a Republican, yes.
And there's fee for all offices, not just county commissioners.
Correct.
So
Even-
anybody running for Republican office in Anderson County is going to be required to pay a fee
Correct.
as it stands.
Right.
And then,
All the way to governor, even the governor would have to as well.
I've lost the other thing. I think I asked you about it before, but I can't remember what it is. I'm getting old and can't remember.
We're both right there.
Yeah, but you look a lot better than that.
I don't know about that.
Well,
You mentioned about school board also. School board is prohibited from being partisan, so that's in TCA code, so that's not, that
well,
won't be an
could
issue.
we pass a private act as a body that says we make the same law, that says we do not want county commission ever to be a partisan race? Couldn't we do that too?
You could do that, yes. I believe, Jay, that is correct. I think a private act, I believe they could prohibit them from being, I don't know exactly how that would work.
I know of one that states that, I believe it's Shelby County. But I can check into it with the State Elections Commission.
I believe that is correct. That is, they can do that.
Okay. Well, I guess that's all the questions I had. I just wanted to point out that you got to pay to run for office, which seems strange to me, that you got to pay to run. As I told you before, I've always respected the Republican Party because they are so fiscally responsible, and to charge people to run for office seems like a tax on their own folks. It just don't make a lot of sense to me. But I guess I'm not a member. Oh, I know what the other question was. What designates if a person on the Republican side is bona fide? It's my understanding you have to be bona fide to run as a Republican in Anderson County. What's that mean?
According to the Republican bylaws, you have to vote in 3 of the last 4 primary races. You'd have to vote as a Republican.
In no particular order?
3 of the last 4. It doesn't matter if it was,
Doesn't have to be consecutive?
No.
Okay.
They're looking at the last 4.
I'm just making sure there isn't any other thing out there that would,
No.
I just trying to understand. So out of the last 4,
I think that is correct, yes.
so out of the last.
3 of the last 4.
Doesn't matter which one, 2016 or 20 whatever.
Doesn't matter.
As long as you voted in 3 of the last 4 primaries?
They would look at the last 4 primaries that we had as a county, and they would, if you wanted to be run as a Republican, you would have to have voted in 3 of those as a Republican in the Republican primary.
And if the Republican committee, executive committee decided they weren't bona fide, then
They would not be eligible to run.
would they get their money back?
I don't think they'd have to pay it, so I don't think it wouldn't get to that
So
point.
you don't pay it until you're actually, you don't pay the fee until you're actually on the ballot?
I think once you be approved or bona fide, that's when I'm assuming, I don't know, that would be something you'd have to talk to the Republican Executive Committee on that. That's not something we're involved with.
Right.
We don't collect the fees and we don't.
No, I didn't say you did.
Right.
You seem to know a lot about it. That's why I was asking you.
Well, we've had a lot of questions about it. Imagine that, right?
Well,
Commissioner Meade.
that's all my questions. Thank you.
Commissioner Meade.
Is there anything that would keep somebody from running nonpartisan in a commission race if the
You mean if they wanted to
Republican?
run as an independent?
Yeah, independent?
They could run as an independent, yes,
Anyhow,
yes,
okay.
yes.
And I know that this Hatch Act thing, this is something really concerns me, because we have a lot of people in Anderson County that if you simply work for a contractor that accepts federal money, I'm not sure that actually disqualifies you under the Hatch Act. If you're a DOE employee or a DOD employee, or you actually, work for the U.S. Park Service or something, I think it does. But I know for a fact that in 2001, I ran for the state house. I won the primary, and I came within 140 votes of winning the election, okay? And I was working for Martin Marietta at the Oak Ridge National Laboratory at that time. I was told back then that just working for a government contractor at a federal facility does not make you a federal employee. So unless there's been new law made on that, do you know of anything, Jay? Has there been actually new law in that interpretation?
I don't know. I'll pull everything for you and send it out. But,
Because to me, that's one of the biggest negative impacts of that, because There's an awful lot of people that work for companies that take money from the federal government, for God's sakes, in Anderson County. And so I'd hate to see all of those people eliminated under something that it really wasn't supposed to. Thank
I
you.
can tell you that there's provisions of the Hatch Act that covers contractors, though.
Any other discussion? And just one little clarification, Commissioner Creasy.
Yeah, I just very pleased and thankful for leadership that Mr. Wandell has taken on himself to spearhead this resolution and get all the information, talking to the executives there at the state level. I applaud you for doing that. That's very commendable of you. And I think all of us, it's been said several times, we work real good together. And I think most of you agree this is the wrong move to politicize this. I was very much involved several years ago in doing exactly what you were talking about, is non-politicizing all of our county races from the mayor and sheriff on down. I was unsuccessful in that, but I had a lot of support, but we didn't get a home run. But we tried to be like Roane County, Morgan County, and some of the other rural counties that have nonpartisan county officials. And I think you're on the right track, Mr. Wandell, and thank you. And I want to thank all you commissioners. We all do work together real well, and we help each other, and we help the families in this county. That's in all of us, and I think we've done a great job over the years, and I would hate to see it change. Thank you very much.
I want to say thank you to Commissioner Creasy. Just a few weeks ago, I was working over at Oak Ridge, putting up the gates, and it was late at night, and I wear safety glasses everywhere. But this particular night, it was raining, I couldn't see out of them, and got a piece of steel in my eye that would probably make most people sick at their stomach. And Commissioner Creasy, I couldn't really see to drive, but I drove on down there anyway. I mean, it was bad. And he stayed with me the whole time until they got so many people in there wasn't room, because they wanted to do videos, put them on TikTok or whatever, because it was so bad. But the nurse, first thing the nurse said, "I'm not touching that." The doctor come in and said, "Lifestar UT." And I thought, man, I wish I would have joined up on that Lifestar thing. It's $65 a year, and talked to Commissioner Denberg about that. But I want to commend him and Dr. Dial.
You're worth it. You're a good leader also.
Thank
We got a great commission. I'll just tell one thing about that incident that I thought was very interesting. He called me on the cell phone and he says, "I can't see, Jerry, how to get there." And so I told him to slow down, and I got in front of him. I said, "Just follow my taillights and I'll get you to the hospital."
The doctor from Afghanistan 2 tours, he was ophthalmologist over there, says the biggest piece of foreign material he's ever seen. Yeah. It was huge. Anyway, any other discussion on the motion? We'll save the maker of the motion for last.
Yeah, I'm Todd Waterman, 418 Orchard Knob Road in Clinton. I think it is really important in this county that people who work for the federal government are eligible to be on the commission. I think what they know about what goes on in Oak Ridge and in our county is really, really important to be included in government. Also, I want to say, we've all seen, the discussions of, what's going on with Facebook and those algorithms that favor nasty stuff and promote it. That's been no surprise to me. I've been obsessed with that for years. Google and Facebook and all the other social media, they make their living telling you what you want to hear, not what you need to know. And there's a big difference. And most people can't tell that difference. And I also want to say that I've seen the way all of you work together, the respect that you show each other, and the fact that you put us first. And I deeply appreciate that. And I appreciate that you answer to us, not to a political party. I appreciate that you're beholden to us, not to a political party, and that you care about us, not a political party. And thank you for that, and let's keep it that way. The last thing we need is to polarize this county and bring that kind of toxicity to our local government, which has been working so well. I just so appreciate what you all do for us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, fellas. Shannon Wandale, 117 Hilltop Lane, Tracy Wandale's other half. We shouldn't even be here having this discussion about this. One little teeny tiny group of 8 people in a 78,000 plus population county. It blows my mind that they have the right to change the process of an election. Just a small group of people. I could probably stand here and talk for about 3 hours, but I'm going to try to summarize this. I've just sat back here and discovered tonight I'm bona fide. Everybody that's an elected official in this county, I want to challenge them right now on this camera, wherever it is. They need to use their voices, go talk to the executive committee at the Republican level for Anderson County, and they need to respectfully request that they rescind. Commissioner Isbell, you know I adore you. I am requesting respectfully that you ask them to rescind. Mayor Frank, Tracy, you know it's true and you admit to her. How many times have I bragged on Mayor Frank lately? I don't brag on anyone, do I?
At least 10 times.
Okay. I'm requesting that Mayor Frank speak out. There is nothing a commissioner does. Nothing. I'm kind of sort of a commissioner because I answer the phone a lot at home when he's on Zoom calls. I field phone calls about potholes and culverts washing out. I have never seen that man say, well, I'm not going to fix that pothole. I'm not going to call Gary Long. He's old Republican. That doesn't enter the thought process. There's nobody in Claxton calls to get the community center issue, coal ash. Nobody call, oh, I'm not going to talk to that. That's a Democrat. Not going to do it. Never comes out of anyone's mouth. This is an attempt to create more control. It's no different than the charter movement. It's no different than the petition for term limits. Oops, sorry, it was actually for charter government. It's no different than an ouster suit of Jay Yeager. It's another attempt at control. This whole area, probably a whole lot of it's predominantly here because of why? Oak Ridge. Oak Ridge. The boomtown of federal. Get them here. Now we're going to say that my brother-in-law's brother who works at Oak Ridge, who's a super intelligent young man, up and coming, he might want to serve his public. Oh, I can't. I work at Y12. It's bullcrap. It's complete bullcrap. That committee has been reached out to. I have worked on this for 2 weeks alongside several good Republicans. Some of those committee members, they don't care a bit to tell you they're not rescinding it. They're not backing down. They're not going to rescind. Well, that's okay, because I will stand here on this microphone and announce I will not vote for anyone that's an R in this county that supports it. Not gonna do it, not gonna tell people to do it. So this should not be going on. There's so many other big issues going on in this world than to bring more divide into what I think, just like what you just, Jerry Creasy leads you the other night. It's raining, it's foggy. If we play the Republican-Democrat thing, you might not would have helped each other.
I always
I
thought
would
Joe
like
was
for
independent.
everyone to hound that committee to rescind something that, by the way, I won't say this person's name, but they're a charter commissioner, tipped me off in June that this was coming. I mentioned it to him in passing late summer. That's not gonna happen. Oh, they'll never do that. Boom, they did it. So it's been being talked about a while. And I'm just only one citizen, one voter. I'm really surprised I'm bona fide. I may just pull a petition and run for something. But if I don't get approved, I want my money back. But I'm serious. I would like for all of you all to make a stance. Elected officials listening to me, and you know who you are with ours, speak up. Tell your executive committee, some of those members are in this room, please get it rescinded. Let's just go back to how elections ought to be and move on. That's all we got to do. This is just creating more Washington, D.C. divide that our area does not need. We don't need it. There's no place for it. Everybody's been getting along great, getting things done. There's no room for it. And now I'll just sit back and decide which one I might run for, because I'm bona fide.
Mr. Keller.
I dare not follow that. She wants to vote Democrat. Hey, I'm all for that. I would just encourage you, when you find out whether or not it's legal to make a law, a county law, I'm not sure what you all call it, that you would do so, because once it's that way, then it's out of the realm, other than repealing that law, of current passions or what have you. It's codified, and you know this as well as I do. So I would encourage you, and I'm sure the Democrats would as well, to consider this creation of a law a good thing, that county commission be a nonpartisan race. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else?
I just want to point out, just so people that are listening will know, a private act has to be filed basically in January, and then it has to go through the legislature, be passed and signed by the governor, then it comes back to the county, and then they have a certain period of time where they have to either adopt it or not. And so a private act can't be done between now and the next election, as I'm.
Okay. Well,
And so we really have to find out what else can be done. Long-term, I would support something like that. Thank you.
Any other discussion? And the motion is to send this resolution to forward to full commission. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Commissioner, or Chairman Isbell abstains from this vote, but motion passes. Next on the agenda. Do we need a break? Yeah. Okay, let's take a 5-minute break. community. He is one of the ones that started the train over there. And now he's invested in that area, and he supports that area with ATVs. And you hear probably a month or so ago, you heard me talk about the New River area and how the ATV program that we have supported here, what it's done for over there. And there's actually some people, when I was over there from Israel, was over there riding the trails in Anderson County. And what Mr. Burgess is wanting to do is to extend the water line over on 116. And it picks up, it's about 2.7 more miles. And with that, there's 2 churches and 5 houses, but there's 200 acres of owned property. And in the north end of the county, you'll see there's a lot of ATVs, campgrounds going in. There's 2 proposed for City of Rocky Top. They're doing well over in New River. I think we've got more business in New River now than we've had in a long time, just due to this, more visitors. I feel like if there's anything that this committee could do to help out, I've talked with the Water Authority, and it's not eligible for a CDBG grant. And they would have to go back and change some water lines. You know, it's 2 inch now, back to 4 inch. And it would be going almost to the Morgan County line. But I think it's very important, and that's been one of our goals, is that we get water to everybody in Anderson County that wants it. And we can see a return on investment from the potential campground area into, you know, the north end of the county. That seems to be one of the things that's really working. If you've been up there on the weekends or during the week, summertime, I mean, it's always packed. You've always got people going over there. Brushy Mountain Prison is very active. They have a lot of people going over there as well, so they got to just about go through this area to get there. And like I said, whether it's federal money, because there's really no justification, that the water department would like to do it, but it's going to be expensive. So if there's anything that we could do, I would, you know, ask this committee, and the budget committee, budget chairman is here as well, if there's anything we can do to help these people get water.
That would qualify under the ARP guidelines.
Yes.
Also, wouldn't it?
Sure would.
What's the estimated cost of per foot or per 100 feet, whatever these
Because
days?
they're going to run into a lot of rock. I talked to John just a little while ago, and going back and having to change, there'd be about 4 miles of pipe that'd have to change to a 4 inch to a 2 inch, because you know how it reduces. It's going to be right at $1 million, a little over $1 million.
Gotcha, thanks.
That's his estimation. Mr. Burgess, do you want to speak about it or anything, or?
Mr. Chairman, while he's walking up there, would this impact Ginger's and Scotty Phillips' place, or would they get new water lines?
Well, no, now they're already on water lines up through there.
Uh-huh.
But the more area you've got, it's just like car lots. You see all car lots go together at once, you know, because it brings more people in, more campgrounds you got. You know, from what the few ones that we have over there now, they stay booked. The ones that's got, you know, the cabin rentals and things. I mean, it's, if you've ever been over there, it's just a beautiful area.
Yep.
It really is. Mr. Burgess?
First of all, I'd like to say thank you to everyone for the opportunity to be here tonight and to speak. I know that is the last property in our area that does not have water, and you know, everyone there is still on a well, and I grew up in that area and grew up with well water, and it wasn't good, as most people know. You know, some well water is good, but anyway, that was the first coal mining in that area was in the Fort Mountain area 90 years ago. That's where the first coal company started. And in that 90 years of coal operation and all the money, the severance tax and different things generated from that area, the area with the most where the coal company was the longest, and where the water has been distorted by the coal companies through the years, has no municipal water. They have been that area has been affected more years, you know, and we love coal. I'm not saying that at all. You know, we love jobs and where people can work, make money, pay taxes, make a living, whatever. I'm not bashing coal at all. I'm just saying as a problem with that, or maybe not problem, maybe it's not the right word, but there's not good water there. And I think of all the taxes that have come from that situation, you know, I talked to the water company last week, and they said that they were getting some stimulus money that had not been earmarked yet, and maybe that's what you were talking about. They said didn't qualify. I don't know what qualifies, what doesn't, but you know, it's also to me a humanitarian issue. Everybody needs good water, and you know, I know they said it boils down, it doesn't make money sense, you know, and I understand that, but to me it's above. It's more than just money. It's you know, it's a part of our county. You know, we are in one of the greatest counties in Tennessee. Love Anderson County. But it's more than just that. It's the you know, the tourism, you know, is booming, and in the ATV, and you know, with Brushy, one of the thoroughfares is through 116. Everybody coming north can come 116 to go to Brushy, and you know, Brushy is blowing up wide open now, and you know, a lot of people travel that. Well, with, like I say, I know there's at least 200 private acres that things can be done along that, you know, to bring jobs to that area. Before we started doing any campgrounds or any of that over there, there was one job in New River, and that was Scotty's bus. He's got 2 buses. He ran one, and he had to hire somebody to run the other one. There's no jobs there. There's nothing.
Exactly.
And these, you know, ATVs are bringing in a lot of money. You know, everyone knows, you know, how tourism dollars work. But there's a lot that can be done there, and we feel like we're in the kind of the hush-hush area of the county. You know, we're in the end of the county that nobody raises a fuss, or you know, and seems like, you know, sometimes a lot doesn't get done. You know, sometimes we feel that way. We appreciate, you know, the water is the greatest thing, you know, that's happened to us over there in a long time. I had a friend told me 20 years ago, he said, if I ever got city water, he said, that's one bill that I would welcome. And I thought, well, it makes a lot of sense, because when you try to wash clothes or cook or all the things we take for granted, you know, you can't do it in that water. You know, you buy $10,000 water softener, and you know, it blows up in the middle of doing something, so everything turns orange. But anyway, I appreciate the opportunity. I hope that you know, I'd never until a while ago heard what the cost might be, could be, and that's hard for me to wrap my mind around, that it would cost $1 million to run a water line that far. But give it some consideration and help us to see if we can get some money. There's a potential campground in that section that does not have water, and it's depending upon water, because you'd never do it with a well system, because that goes down, the pump goes down in the middle of 20 RVs there, then you're dead in the water. But anyway, give it some consideration. I appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight, and I appreciate everything that everyone does from the mayor on down. We're a part of one of the greatest counties, not only in Tennessee, but in the United States, and I'm proud to be a part of Anderson County, and thank you all very much.
Thank you. As you well know, and we've talked about this at the Coal Miners Museum, the coal that come out of the Briceville region was predominantly responsible for the Industrial Revolution that put the United States ahead of all the other countries in the world. And that's why we're where we are today, because of the coal that was mined out of Briceville. And all they're asking for is water, you know. And I think that we can do that, or is it way possible? Mr. McCain.
Well, most of you know I'm a New River boy. So, and I used to represent that district for a number of years over there. I remember my last election, I got 57 out of 58 votes out of Rosedale, and that put me over the top. So, and I just want you to know I'll do anything and everything that we can, and I'm still confused on this American Rescue Act, whether or not we can use those funds, but I'll do anything and everything I can to help y'all get water. I think that's the least we can do. And I tried for years to restrict the severance tax money to go back into the areas where it was generated.
Which all goes to the highways now.
It goes to highways, and well, half of it goes to highway, half of it goes to schools. But, you know, we closed Rosedale School and made all the kids come to Briceville. So the severance tax money didn't help us keep that school. And the severance tax money was not spent in that area where it should have been spent. I mean, I fought it for years and tried to get the law changed to where that it had to be spent where it was generated, and that didn't work. I mean, they could take it and pave roads in the Claxton area if they wanted to. And that, you know, the road superintendent had that option, but, you know, not being but 57 votes over there, it's kind of hard to justify spending all the money over there. But I think everybody deserves water, good, clean water. And I know exactly what he's talking about when that sulfur water turns orange. You can't use it, you know, you have to boil it to drink it. So I'll do anything and everything I can do to see if we can't use some of that American Rescue money to help.
Mr. Chairman? Is it okay, Commissioner Meade? I didn't mean to cut you off. I'd like to make a motion that we forward this request to the Finance Committee to start the dialogue and investigate further if we can use those funds or not. I certainly support it. Since I talked to Commissioner McCamey, me and my wife have been out to Ginger's, I think twice now. Best burgers around. Hot dogs are pretty darn good, too. Haven't been up to Scotty Phillips' place yet. He stopped in and got a bag of ice while I was there having a hamburger. Didn't get a chance to really shoot the breeze with him, but it's a very interesting community up there, and I enjoy traveling up that way, and I'll do whatever I can to support it, too. So my motion is to move this request for a water line extension in that area to the Finance Committee.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Wandell, seconded by Commissioner Scott. Discussion on the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimous, and I want to say thank you on behalf of all the people in District 4 and Commissioner Val.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay. And, well, the other thing was the amount of severance tax from the New River region, and that would just be for information. Maybe we can get that later, but what Commissioner McCain was saying, you know, at one time, there's a tremendous amount of severance tax money that came from there that went everywhere else.
Mr. Chairman, there's also the natural gas
That's
severance
true.
tax.
And pulp. There was a
And
pulp tax,
Yeah,
too.
and pulp. And, you know, those numbers are kind of self-reported.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so, you know, you just get what you get, I guess, but it would be nice to have some kind of written, I've asked about that before at the Tennessee County Commissioners Association. it's one of those things people just don't want to touch, I guess. But we haven't increased our mineral severance tax since 1979. It's capped out at 15 cents, I believe, is the number. It needs to go up, and it needs to be re-looked at. It's been the same since 1979.
Okay. We could probably take that under finance as well.
I'll make a motion to send to the Finance Committee the issue of understanding the Anderson County severance tax.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Wandell, seconded by Commissioner Scott. Any discussion on that motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimous. Okay, the next thing would be, and thank you again. Thank you, Commissioner Wandell. It's the redistricting plan. We've all looked at the district map. The Operations Committee is the redistricting committee. There's some out front if anybody wants to look at it. We meet, it's got the district growth there where 3 has had tremendous growth. We've got growth in Oak Ridge that's coming. We've got growth all over, except for District 4, that's where we're down. So we've had to move some lines to try to get within. We're still out of the margin, but the state says it's acceptable as long as we give, the reason being. And that way we're not moving a lot of people from voting where they have before and trying to put some people back. And I think everybody's comfortable with that. The law director said that he's approved it and he'll do a resolution to have it ready for us on Monday night. I think that's one of the other steps that we got to do is have a resolution and then have it discussed and approved. Chairman Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Was Bill Brown or the law director going to put the letter of justifying the lines? Did we have to have
That
something?
is correct. As soon as we do the resolution and turn in, we'll send that as well. But Jay has talked to the state and talked to Billy, and everybody's okay with it as long as we are, basically. We're still out of line a little bit, but it's justifiable.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to just point out that we looked at several different plans, and basically the plan that we recommended as redistricting committee was the only one that would work.
That's correct.
Yeah. And it's not perfect, but it's all that we've got. So, I'm like you, I wish everybody could vote wherever they wanted to. And maybe the fact that we have all the early voting and all that, they won't have to drive far on election day. They can vote early and not have to worry about the drive or the long line at the polls the day of election. But we did all we could do, and I think, it was the only choice.
I think it affects the least amount of people, the plan, and I got to give it to y'all. I mean, we did it in record amount of time.
Yeah.
Last time this was done took 3 months. And Billy Brown and all the technology that we got now, instead of having to wait and come back, man, he could do it just then. And just everybody knew. Chairman Anderson stayed in touch with all of his people in District 3 that's going to be affected the most. Had a lot of people come in about that, and he's done a great job, on Facebook and all that, keeping the information out there. I appreciate that, and everybody here, has talked to their constituents and moved along really well. I really have to give it to y'all.
This clearly meets the intent. Okay, yes, there's 3 is a little bit bigger than it would be in an ideal situation. But we looked at God, how many different options of changing along between there, and it came out that we were going to move somebody. We were going to have a bunch of people driving way across the dang county just about to vote, or we were going to go with this, and that it clearly meets the overall intent across the board. Even though there's a little bit of detail of the spread that we don't quite meet, but I think this is a great job, and this needs to. And I'm sure the state's already said they would approve it.
Yes.
And I'm sure that when we submit it, they will.
Yeah. Yep. And the only other plan was to take a big part of District 3 and put in a District 4. Then District 4 has been representing 9 schools. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the only other plan was to take a big part of District 3 and put in a District 4. Then District 4 has been representing 9 schools. So, yeah. Yeah. And the only other plan was to take a big part of District 3 and put in a District 4. Then District 4 has been representing 9 schools. So, yeah.
And crossing the geographic.
and crossing the geographic boundaries, because that's one of the things that the state, when I talked to them, Billy talked to them, said, that's the number one thing that you want to keep, is your geographical boundaries, and that's what we did. So, any other, Commissioner Wandell?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, first, thank you and the committee, and thank you for taking the lead on this. You've done a great job, and the leadership, appreciate it. So, like in District 1, I think we lost maybe 300 or so, 185, back to District 3, but that's where it came from. So I know a lot of folks will be happy about that because they wanted to get back to District 3. You mentioned earlier driving all that long distance, so I was certainly in agreement with Commissioner Anderson in that District 3 area for that to happen, and certainly support that. I guess my question is, for those individuals that have been moved or will be moved when we approve this plan, will they be notified by the Election Commission in writing where they'll to report and where the precincts will be and all that kind of good stuff?
So they all get new voter registration cards.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, as
Thank
soon
you.
as it's approved.
And a letter.
He'll get that out, so.
Point out one more thing, Mr. Chairman, is the city of Oak Ridge. The commissioners from that district now represent Oak Ridge.
That's correct.
Before, there was, scattered down toward Marlow and up Laurel Road and all that area. But now the city of Oak Ridge represents the city of Oak Ridge.
And that's one of the things the state asked
And I
too.
think Clinton is the same way. Clinton only represents the city of Clinton people, so.
Well, there's some of the county, but it's in the growth boundaries
Right.
to become city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that was a plus because a lot of the people that are in my district before were having to go into Oak Ridge to vote. And they were saying, we're a county, we shouldn't be in Oak Ridge, and I agree. And I think this plan really, really sets it apart. They represent the city only.
Yep.
If they live in the city.
And again, with Billy Brown's training and all his, his computer guru stuff, man, it was a whiz. It didn't take no time.
Do you need a motion to approve as presented?
Well, we already have that. We did that. This was just really a public appearance thing to get it out there.
And certainly, if anybody has any questions, they can contact their commissioner and get the
Yes.
updates. Okay.
And then we'll take it up again in full commission. So I think that was the motion coming out of the redistricting committee meeting, was to go ahead and send it to full commission for approval. And this was just a public hearing.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, with that, we move on to new business. Do we have any new business come, Mayor?
Just real quickly, Anderson County is a member of Energy Communities Alliance, ECA, and they do have some upcoming elections, and they want to confirm membership. I was chatting with Jay earlier, because I think the mayor, by virtue of being the mayor, is automatically a voting member. But normally Commissioner Wandell attends, or I don't know if December's meeting's going to be virtual or in person. I know the last one they canceled and went to virtual, but if everyone is okay, I would like to recommend that we go ahead and just lock it in so that we have that in writing, that Commissioner Wandell is our other representative for ECA.
Okay. Do we have a motion to support that? Motion by Commissioner Chairman.
Second.
Chairman Anderson, seconded by Commissioner Meade. Any discussion on the motion?
Did Mr. Wandell agree?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's always a good.
I'm not sure the mayor really wants this, because I might make a motion to make her the new chairman of the committee.
No.
ECA, that is.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimous.
Thank you.
and
And
just-
just real quickly, as an update, Commissioner McCamey knows this, and I think you know it as well. Construction, as long as Jay approves the contract, it's in his hand. I guess he slipped out, but construction should start on Wolf Valley Convenience Center Monday. So,
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that last motion still needs to go to commission, right?
Yes.
Or- Okay.
Yes, yeah, for the full commission for approval.
I got one. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
You got the floor.
We'll let the chairman make a decision.
Commissioner McCamey.
Dr. Parrott was in last month's commission meeting, and he had said that the company that does the upgrades to all the schools, and they had done some work for the county once for ESG, where that the energy savings pays for whatever it is they do. He said that they were working on something else, and I don't know, but I wanted to ask the mayor, is there anything in the county outside of what we've already had done that could be done while they're working on this contract that would involve the county? Any of our buildings that need anything? I mean, they're talking about, you know, new air conditioning units and things, and of course, we done that a couple of years back, maybe 3 years ago. But I was just wondering, while they're negotiating a new deal with ESG, if there's anything in the county, I would like to see that included, and then come back, you know, and let us be a part of that contract. Because it's worked out real well for the county. It's paid for itself in savings, energy
Actually,
savings.
double the savings.
Yeah, the schools actually made money on it, so.
I can get with Roger and go over that. I do know, for instance, even at Budget Committee, so when we did the ESG, we did not take care of the Dickens building. We looked at the DARC because we'd put the court in there. So I know that he's had on his capital list an air unit for there. I don't know what other needs there are. I'll get something together, and you want me to bring it back to commission or Dr. Parrott, or what? Or just present it?
Just present it back, I guess, to this
you all?
committee.
Okay.
And I'd like for you to include the senior center. There's
Okay.
I don't know, the air conditioning down there, everything's working right, but at times it's 81 degrees, and we've got, you know, set on 70. Need to get up to 81 degrees in the big room, and I don't know if that's because of the construction we did to, you know, modify that, or what the problem is, but I think Roger checked the air conditioning unit, and he said it's doing all it can do. But I'd like to, you know, maybe there's an opportunity to get that fixed under this program.
Sure, we
That
can
could
take a look
save
at
us-
it.
Save us some money.
Sounds good. I will work on that.
All right, thank you.
Commissioner Wandale.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, just, you may have heard of this. I don't know if it's a fact yet or not. I know myself and the mayor and Jay had exchanged some emails about a month and a half ago, but it's my understanding that they may be taking down the windmills on Val Mountain.
That's correct.
And what I'd like to do is get a motion in place to where we can protect our roadways with a bond. So when they go to do this deconstruction with all these heavy trucks going up, I mean, your community and Commissioner Val's community has endured road problems for a long time with all the heavy trucks, whether it's coal or the natural gas guys going in. So with that said, I'd like to make a motion. I don't know if we send it to the road committee or legislative, legal, I don't know.
Probably the road committee, I would think, highway committee.
Well, I'd like to make a motion, we send to the road committee to have them study putting a bond in place for Buffalo Mountain windmills, decommissioning and deconstruction to protect the roads for that community. That's my motion.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Wandale, seconded by Commissioner McCamey. Discussion on the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimous. Again, thank you.
What's that? Yeah. Mr. Chairman, I know it might not be appropriate, but I just want to say my condolences to our commissioner who couldn't be here tonight, Mr. Rick Meredith. He lost his mother, and I just want him to know that he's in our thoughts and prayers with our family and this commission. And I just want my fellow Red Sox fan to know that my thoughts are with him. Thank you.
I agree, and I was going to say something because she was a very respected to this community. I think everybody knew her that didn't even know her.
Yes.
If I
She
could
let
say
you know.
that. Yeah, 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 and that was a great 13-inning game.
Yes.
Yeah. And with that, I also want to remember State Representative Reagan. You know, he lost his son a month ago, lost his sister to COVID 2 weeks ago. Yeah. Okay. Do you have something, Commissioner Yeager?
I do not.
Okay, anybody got anything else? All right, we'll call the motion to adjourn. Okay. Thank you all so very much. It was a great meeting. We got a lot of things accomplished very civilly. Thank you.